What would they be measuring? Gold.
I'm calling this Bravo Sierra. That's the spot, man. I can feel it.
I hope so.
Fingers crossed?
Yeah.
I'm looking for a vault.
This one might tell the tale. We got a chance of actually finding treasure.
We got a lot of secrets yet to unfold.
I think we're all going to find this artifact extremely interesting.
For over 200 years, Oak Island has been surrounded by mystery, failed expeditions, and stories that no one could ever prove true. But in 2026, everything is about to change. What begins as a routine excavation suddenly takes a terrifying turn when the machines dig deeper and come to a complete stop. Not because of a mechanical failure, but because something beneath the ground refuses to be explained. A heavy silence falls across the site. Rick Lagina says nothing. Marty Lagina stares at the incoming data, realizing at the exact same moment that this is no ordinary discovery. Nearly 100 feet below the surface, advanced scans reveal a perfectly shaped rectangular structure buried deep underground. Something that looks nothing like natural rock, and something that should not exist at all. The density readings surge to nearly 10 times higher than the surrounding soil. Ground-penetrating radar, 3D mapping, and repeated scans all point to the same impossible conclusion. A massive man-made chamber hidden beneath Oak Island for centuries. Even more unsettling, the surrounding water patterns reveal what appear to be engineered tunnels, carefully designed to protect or conceal whatever lies inside. Some experts believe that if this chamber is fully uncovered, its value could exceed $500 million, not just because of possible treasure, but because the discovery could completely rewrite one of history's greatest unsolved mysteries. But now comes the most dangerous decision of the entire operation. Should they dig deeper and risk destroying everything forever, or stop and leave the greatest discovery in Oak Island's history buried beneath the ground? One wrong move could erase centuries of mystery in a matter of seconds. Is this finally the moment the Oak Island curse is broken? Or is the island about to reveal its darkest and most dangerous secret yet? Before we uncover what happened next, take a second to subscribe and turn on notifications, because this story only gets stranger from here, and you won't want to miss the evidence that changes everything. What happens next isn't just another excavation. It could become one of the most important discoveries ever made on Oak Island. The 2026 season begins unlike anything we've seen before. The 2026 season feels completely different from everything that has come before. Instead of relying on speculation, old maps, or historical theories, the team is now guided by detailed scientific data. In previous years, every excavation involved a great deal of guesswork and trial and error. This time, however, they already have an unusually clear picture of what lies beneath the surface before the first major dig even begins. That alone has changed the entire approach. The operation is more precise than ever, but it has also become far more dangerous because every decision now carries much greater consequences. The technology behind this year's investigation is unlike anything used in previous seasons. Advanced ground-penetrating radar is reaching greater depths while producing remarkably accurate images. High-resolution 3D mapping is exposing underground layers with incredible clarity, making hidden formations easier to identify than ever before. At the same time, artificial intelligence is comparing decades of excavation records with newly collected data, uncovering patterns and anomalies that human analysis alone might have overlooked. Because of these advances, the team's confidence has grown dramatically. They are no longer wondering if something might be buried beneath Oak Island. Instead, they believe there is compelling evidence that something significant is already waiting below. But confidence comes with pressure. When the technology leaves so little room for uncertainty, even a single mistake could destroy years of work and cost millions of dollars. Rick Lagina and Marty Lagina seem noticeably more focused than in previous seasons. Casual conversations have largely disappeared, replaced by serious planning sessions and constant discussions over the latest data. Everyone on the team understands that 2026 may become the year that finally changes Oak Island's history. Every scan, every drill, and every decision now feels more important than ever. Ironically, the day begins in the most ordinary way imaginable. Heavy machinery operates without interruption. Excavators steadily remove layers of earth, and the drilling equipment performs exactly as expected. crew members move around the site calmly, chatting with one another while carrying out their routine tasks. To anyone watching, it appears to be just another normal day of excavation. Yet that ordinary atmosphere creates a dangerous illusion. On Oak Island, the biggest discoveries rarely announce themselves. Everything usually appears calm until, without warning, a single unexpected event changes everything. Slowly, the cameras shift their attention toward the drilling equipment. The background sounds become quieter, almost unnoticed, while more eyes turn toward the monitoring screens. At this stage, neither the team nor the audience realizes that the peaceful moment is only temporary. Then it happens. Without any warning, one of the machines begins behaving strangely. Its sound changes. Seconds later, the excavator comes to a halt, and the drill suddenly refuses to advance any farther. At first, the operators assume they are dealing with a routine mechanical problem. But as they inspect the equipment, it quickly becomes obvious that the issue goes far beyond a simple malfunction. Confusion spreads across the site. Some crew members inspect the machinery, while others immediately begin reviewing the live data. Multiple attempts are made to restart the drilling process, yet every attempt ends the same way. The drill remains locked in place, and the ground refuses to respond as expected. That is when the mood begins to shift. Everyone working on Oak Island knows that equipment rarely stops without a reason. Rick Lagina quietly walks toward the monitors, studying every detail without saying a word. His expression alone suggests he already suspects something important. Marty Lagina reacts differently, asking rapid questions and demanding additional analysis. Determined to understand exactly what the data is showing. Although their reactions differ, both clearly recognize that this is no ordinary interruption. This marks the first major turning point of the investigation. As cameras move in for close-up shots, conversations fade away. The machinery falls silent, leaving an uncomfortable stillness across the excavation site. In that moment, everyone senses that something extraordinary may be hiding beneath their feet. When the latest ground scans finally appear on the monitors, the entire team falls silent. The data reveals a dramatic change between approximately 90 and 110 feet below the surface. Instead of ordinary soil or natural rock, the scans identify a large, solid mass with sharply defined boundaries unlike anything surrounding it. Its shape is what immediately captures everyone's attention. Straight edges, distinct corners, clear geometric lines. Rather than resembling a random geological formation, the object appears structured and deliberate, almost as though it was intentionally constructed. Some begin wondering whether it could be a hidden chamber, part of an underground wall, or even a sealed vault. The density readings make the discovery even more remarkable. The material is many times denser than the surrounding ground, explaining why the drill suddenly stopped. Whatever lies below is not a small obstacle, but an enormous solid structure capable of resisting powerful drilling equipment. To rule out any errors, the team repeats the scans from multiple angles using different analytical methods. Yet every result tells exactly the same story. The question is no longer whether something exists beneath Oak Island. The real mystery is what it is, and who put it there. As specialists examine the density measurements more carefully, the discovery becomes even harder to dismiss. The surrounding soil follows the expected geological range, but this particular section produces readings nearly 8 to 10 times greater than normal. Such an extreme contrast strongly suggests the presence of an exceptionally dense and carefully defined object hidden below the surface. When compared with nearby areas, the difference becomes impossible to ignore. Ordinary soil produces scattered, irregular scan patterns, while this section appears compact, uniform, and sharply separated from everything around it. The moment the drill entered this zone, resistance increased dramatically, bringing the excavation to an immediate stop. Experts point out that a natural rock formation rarely produces such an isolated and perfectly defined signature. If geology were responsible, similar density patterns would likely appear throughout the surrounding area. Instead, this anomaly stands completely on its own. With every new analysis, the evidence continues pointing toward the same conclusion. Whatever lies underground appears to have been placed there intentionally. The only unanswered questions are who built it, and what they were trying to protect. As imaging continues, the object's outline becomes even more convincing. Its nearly perfect rectangular form, clean edges, and symmetrical proportions strengthen the belief that it was created by human hands rather than by nature. that discovery opens the door to countless possibilities. Could it be a hidden chamber built to safeguard something priceless? A sealed vault protecting an ancient secret? Or perhaps something no one has even considered yet? Some researchers believe this discovery could be only one section of a much larger underground network, with several passageways leading to a central location. Considering Oak Island's long history of unanswered questions, that possibility cannot be dismissed. Even more remarkable is the precision required to build a structure like this so far below the surface, especially during a time when modern excavation equipment did not exist. Such craftsmanship would have demanded careful planning, advanced engineering, and a very specific purpose. The surrounding layers of soil also appear unusual, almost as though the area was intentionally prepared before being sealed. Every new piece of evidence continues to point toward the same conclusion. Whatever lies beneath does not appear to be a natural formation. The mystery has now shifted. It is no longer about whether something is hidden underground, but who built it and what they intended to protect. As work progresses, another unexpected clue begins to emerge, this time involving the underground water itself. Under normal conditions, groundwater moves slowly through predictable channels. Here, however, the behavior is completely different. Water starts entering the excavation from multiple directions, and in certain areas the pressure becomes so intense that sections of the pit begin filling almost immediately. The pattern looks anything but natural. For decades, historical accounts connected to Oak Island have described an elaborate network of flood tunnels, engineered to flood excavation sites whenever anyone dug too deep. The water movement now being recorded bears a striking resemblance to those old descriptions. If that interpretation is correct, it suggests something extraordinary. Rather than simply hiding an object underground, whoever built this place may have designed an entire defensive system around it. If such a system truly exists, it would imply that whatever was concealed here was considered valuable enough to deserve extraordinary protection. In that case, Oak Island is more than a treasure site. It becomes an enormous engineered security system, where water itself functions as a barrier, preventing anyone from reaching the hidden chamber. Throughout these developments, Rick Lagina remains unusually reserved. Instead of reacting emotionally or making bold claims, he quietly studies the incoming data. His expression reveals intense concentration, and his silence communicates more than words ever could. After dedicating so many years to this search, Rick fully understands the importance of what may be unfolding. Standing motionless with his hands behind his back, his eyes constantly moving between the monitors and the excavation site, he appears deeply aware of the responsibility resting on every decision. His concern isn't driven by fear. It's driven by the realization that a single mistake could destroy evidence that has survived for centuries. Sometimes the strongest reaction is saying nothing at all, and Rick's silence speaks volumes about the seriousness of the moment. Marty Lagina, meanwhile, approaches the discovery from a completely different perspective. While Rick is driven by intuition and emotion, Marty immediately begins weighing the risks. His attention is fixed not only on what may be underground, but on whether continuing the excavation is worth the potential consequences. Safety, engineering challenges, financial costs, and long-term impacts all influence his thinking. He understands that pushing ahead too aggressively could damage the discovery forever, or even endanger the crew. That creates an ongoing balance between excitement and caution. Every decision now has lasting consequences, and once the excavation crosses a certain point, there may be no opportunity to reverse course. The dangers are far from hypothetical. Flooding, unstable ground, hidden gas pockets, and the possibility of a sudden collapse remain constant threats beneath the surface. That is why Marty repeatedly turns back to engineering reports, scientific analysis, and expert recommendations before making another move. For him, making history only matters if it can be done responsibly. There is another layer of pressure as well. Years of work and millions of dollars have already been invested in the search for Oak Island's secrets. One serious mistake could cost far more than money. It could damage the credibility of the entire project. Marty understands that historic discoveries are achieved through careful planning, not reckless decisions. This creates a subtle but fascinating contrast between the two brothers. There are no dramatic confrontations or heated debates, yet their different personalities shape every discussion. Rick trusts instinct and lifelong belief. Marty depends on evidence, calculations, and practical judgment. That quiet difference makes every choice feel even more meaningful and gives the story a deeply human dimension. If the chamber is eventually opened, its contents could prove far more significant than hidden treasure. Oak Island has never been fascinating simply because of gold. Its true appeal has always been the mystery surrounding it. There is a real possibility that the chamber could contain ancient artifacts, carefully crafted objects, historical tools, statues, or even religious relics capable of shedding light on a forgotten chapter of history. Some researchers have even suggested that old manuscripts or written records might still survive inside, potentially revealing who constructed this underground system and why it was created in the first place. Others believe evidence of sophisticated defensive mechanisms could still remain, demonstrating that the entire complex was intentionally engineered to protect whatever was hidden below. If even part of these possibilities proves accurate, the discovery would do far more than confirm old theories. It could completely transform our understanding of Oak Island and elevate it from a centuries-old legend into one of archaeology's most significant discoveries. Naturally, discussions of such a discovery quickly lead to questions about its value. Even conservative estimates suggest the underground structure alone could be worth hundreds of millions of dollars. If the most optimistic scenarios become reality, if the chamber remains intact and contains historically important objects, its estimated value could range from $300 million to $500 million. Yet the true significance of such a discovery cannot be measured in financial terms alone. Should the excavation uncover priceless historical artifacts, ancient documents, or evidence connected to a lost civilization, their cultural and scientific importance would vastly exceed any monetary estimate. Museums, historians, archaeologists, and governments around the world would consider such evidence invaluable. That is why Oak Island has always represented something much greater than hidden wealth. The greatest prize may not be treasure at all, but the chance to answer questions that have remained unsolved for generations. What is truly at stake here extends far beyond the possibility of buried treasure. The real prize is history itself, along with the knowledge and truth that may have remained hidden beneath Oak Island for centuries. But as exciting as this discovery appears, the dangers are just as real. One of the greatest concerns is the possibility of a structural collapse. Beneath the surface could be hidden chambers, aging tunnels, or empty cavities capable of giving way without warning. A single mistake during excavation might destabilize the entire area within seconds. Another serious hazard comes from underground gases. Deep below the surface, toxic gases can remain trapped for years before suddenly escaping once the ground is disturbed. Incidents involving hazardous underground conditions have been reported on Oak Island before, making this risk impossible to ignore. Then there is the threat that worries the team more than anything else: water. On Oak Island, water has never been just another obstacle. Many believe it serves as part of an elaborate defense system. If the excavation reaches the wrong location, a powerful rush of water could pour into the dig site almost instantly, flooding the entire area in a matter of moments. Historical accounts describing the island's famous flood tunnels only make that possibility seem even more believable. That is exactly why every stage of the excavation is approached with extreme caution. The consequences of one wrong decision could extend far beyond financial losses. Human lives may also be at risk. It is this constant balance between incredible opportunity and genuine danger that makes the entire search so fascinating. As the discovery grows in importance, another challenge begins to emerge: government oversight and legal restrictions. Every excavation on Oak Island operates under strict regulations, with authorities closely monitoring each stage of the investigation. Since no one can predict what might be uncovered next, permits, safety requirements, and archaeological guidelines play a major role in determining how the project moves forward. This is often why progress appears slower than many viewers expect. The team cannot simply dig wherever they choose. Every excavation depth, every piece of equipment, and every new section of the site must follow established rules. If an artifact of major historical significance is uncovered, government agencies could immediately intervene, suspend the operation, and begin their own investigation. That naturally raises an intriguing question. Is everything discovered on Oak Island eventually shared with the public? Or could some findings remain confidential? History has shown that not every important archaeological discovery is revealed immediately. Whether or not that applies here, the possibility adds another layer of mystery to an island already surrounded by unanswered questions. Because what happens next won't be remembered as just another episode. It could become a moment that people talk about for years to come.